Hello there. This video is What is Science? With my subheading, Three Kinds of Knowledge. I am Muriel Rand from New Jersey City University, and we are going to explore some of the aspects of Piagetian theory that you might not know about. One of the things that I think is so profound about Piaget is that he was looking at how human beings get to know things. And he figured out that the way we get to know things depends greatly on what kind of things we're trying to learn. And he proposed that there are three kinds of knowledge: social knowledge, physical knowledge, and logical mathematical knowledge. So let's go through these three to give you an idea of how they're different and why it's so important to know this for teaching. So the first category is social knowledge, and this is the kind of knowledge that children learn from other people and society, and the only way they can learn it is from other people. In general, this is literacy and social studies, and it's things like manners, or the names of colors or the alphabet. These are the things that are culturally different from from one culture to another, from one country to another, from one neighborhood to another, from one setting to another. This is the kind of knowledge that we can only learn from other people. If you put kids in a deserted island, they would never, ever, ever learn about the War of 1812. They can history and social studies and literacy. They would never learn to read English. They might create their own language, but they never learn to read English. So these are the kinds of things that we can only learn from other people. And you may remember me saying a few times that this is why teaching literacy is different than teaching math or teaching science. Let's look at the second kind of knowledge. This is physical knowledge, and this is the kind of knowledge that you can only learn from the world, from the physical world. And children start learning this the day they are born. They learn what is hot, what is cold, what feels smooth, what feels rough. They learn about gravity. I've often asked my students, when do you think children learn gravity? And some of them will usually say, oh, maybe third grade, fifth grade. My 6-month-old granddaughter knows gravity really well. She picks up a toy and she throws it down and watches it drop. When she lets go of it, she doesn't look up. She lets go of it and she looks down. Why does she look down? Because she already has figured out that there is a force on the earth that pulls things down when we let go of them. That is physical knowledge. Learning what is hot. If you think about teaching a baby what's hot, there's only one way to teach a baby what's hot, and that's to let them feel what's hot. We can't teach them what hot is. We can teach them the word for hot, because words are all social knowledge, but we cannot teach a baby what hot is. They have to touch hot to know hot. Playing with rocks, musical instruments, water play, sand play, jumping, throwing, falling. All of that is what we call physical knowledge. It's called physical knowledge because we learn it from the physical world, and it's related to physics, right? So that physical knowledge, that's where we get the term physics. So it's really about learning physics. Let me give you another example, the playground. Children know that when they climb up the slide, it feels really different than when they go down the slide. They're learning about inclined planes, which is a physics concept. And you can see why boys traditionally have done a little bit better in like physics and earth science and stuff, because they do more of these kinds of activities. And the girls have done better in literacy and social studies because they're sitting on the playground chatting, while the boys are playing on the swing, which of course is a pendulum, right? So when you learn about pendulums in high school physics and why they go faster or slower, children who've already spent a lot of time swinging on swings have an intuitive knowledge about that, because that's physical knowledge. You do not learn that from a textbook. The only way you can learn it is by actually working with pendulums, which is why girls have had a disadvantage, because many parents, many cultures prevent girls or don't encourage girls to do this kind of play that boys do more of. So again, physical knowledge cannot be taught. I'm going to say that again, it cannot. It's not just that they learn it better from the physical world, they have to learn it from the physical world. Now let's look at, so the third kind of knowledge is logical mathematical knowledge. And as it sounds, this is related to math and to science. We're going to see that in a minute. This is the knowledge that we get from our own thinking processes. It cannot be taught to us. But the good thing is that human brains are designed to be able to develop this knowledge if they have enough input from the world. So you can see if children are allowed to classify and sort and count and do spatial concepts and compare and contrast and measure time, putting things into relationships with other things, that's how they develop this in their mind. You can't do it for them the way you can social knowledge. They have to develop this from inquiry and interacting and doing things and having time to think and focus and reflect. And our mind develops these concepts. It's not about touching and feeling things the way science is. In science, I can actually feel that something's hot. But in logical mathematical knowledge, I can't tell whether it's hotter or colder unless I have something already developed in my mind that compares it to that. So the heat itself is a physical knowledge, but comparing hot or cold, like is today a hot day or a cold day? Well, it's about 60 degrees out, so it feels really cool in October, but if we had a 60-degree day in February, it would feel very warm. That's logical mathematical knowledge, is being able to do those kind of comparisons and reflections on things. Just to recap, we know that this is not social knowledge because every single culture has the same logical mathematical knowledge. It is in our brain and it develops as part of being human. Every culture in the world has the same science knowledge. Science is science, whether you're in Israel or you're in China or Japan or Africa or South America or here in North America. It's all the same science because it's out in the world. It's touching and feeling and experimenting and asking questions. It's discoverable. It's discoverable. Social knowledge is not. We have to be taught social knowledge. So that has profound implications for how we teach the different subjects. Literacy must be taught with a lot of modeling and a lot of input from adults and the social world. Science has to be taught with lots and lots of interaction. Let me go to the next slide here. What is science? It's primarily physical knowledge with some logical mathematical knowledge, right? So we gather all of this information from the world by touching and feeling, using our senses, acting on the world, and then we use our logical mathematical knowledge to make sense of it. So it's the logical mathematical knowledge that helps us to figure out what our physical knowledge means. It's a way, again, of answering questions. As a recap, what does this mean for science? It means that we're using hands-on tools with inquiry. Inquiry means testing and asking questions and trying to figure things out, experimenting, right? Inquiry is experimenting. Using models, so we're going to draw and capture things with all different kinds of modeling. You can't see that on my slide right here. It's connecting to math. So we're going to collect data and we're going to measure and count and use math skills connected to science. Again, math isn't a language that we use to understand the scientific concepts. So once again, this means that in your science lessons, what is appropriate is hands-on, using tools, inquiry, experimentation, exploration. It can be in the science area, it can be in the block area, it can be in art, it can be out on the playground. Kids learn lots of science from going outside and moving, and so music, movement, using instruments, of course, is science. Science happens all of the time in all of the different areas, and our job is to get kids to be thoughtful about it and have the kinds of structured experiences that let them really interact in the world in powerful